Yo, Grim here. I haven't done a video in like some time. Life's just been very busy. I don't really play Yu-Gi-Oh that much either. Um, but yeah. Currently I kind of just play Ghoti when I do get the chance. I've been enjoying this. I've tested this one out quite a fair bit. Kind of like a mixture of variants in my head because there's versions where, in my opinion, you want to extend and try and do what you can in your first turn to then synchro in your opponent's turn. And then there's variants where you kind of rely on the newer support that came out. But the new support's really nice as well. I love the way this deck plays. It's really fun. Understanding chain links is really important, and when they resolve, a lot of your stuff will depend on that and understanding what you will make at your end of your board. But otherwise, it's just a really cool deck. The version I play is a little bit different, but I think it's because I played it during tier format, so I kind of stuck to the same sort of variant just to counter when tier elements was like a menace. But I might change it around a bit more, but currently this is the variant. I use triple snow pierce. I've always enjoyed using three of him. Some people might use one or two. Um, he's just really good. He lets you play turn zero. In my mindset, if you open him and Zap, you can interrupt your opponent's turn. You can potentially banish the Zap and like another tuner, get him out. His effective banishing when it leaves the field isn't crazy important, but it could potentially disrupt an opponent. And then you get your Zap to come back, and then you get your 8 synchro. Your 8 synchro will banish something of your opponents, or it could be a White Aura Whale. They're probably not trying to play around White Aura at the start of the game, so most of their stuff should be in attack mode. Of course, it's the same with the deck's weaknesses. Really, it's like Droplet, Imperms. If someone plays Forbidden Chalice, but it does kind of struggle with those things. But overall, it's just really cool deck. And this is just a really cool card to play in turn zero. Most of the time, I'm pretty happy opening my Snow Piercers. Then I run triple Exeep. So Exeep is an extender to me. When a fish is banished, he summons himself. He's level 4 non-tuner, which is nice. It's really important that you see your tuners and you get your tuners out first. But he's an extender, so hopefully you can get your tune out, banish something, and then he would summon him. Or on your opponent's turn, you might banish something, trigger him, get him from your hand. You've got another piece of fodder for your synchro summons. Generally, just really nice to see in your hand. Extenders are really important. Now I run triple Zep, so a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, don't run triple Zep, but usually like one or two of it. This one's a little bit interesting. But the main purpose I run three is again with like Snowpiercer, you can let you play turn zero if you open both of them, but that's quite unlikely. But in my eyes, I maximize on the level 2 tuners, because it's super important to open a tuner at the start of the game so you can actually try and establish a synchro board, or even just get out your level 6 synchro. You can't try and rely on just trying to play in your opponent's turn. Like one Dark Rule or one Droplet might just make you lose the entire game if that's the case. Um, but having stuff like Zap is really nice, letting you play through your opponent's turn. I do run Desires as well, so maximizing three of each is really helpful. And then, of course, triple Shiv, the other tuner, and triple Pacey's, the other tuner. Maximizing both of them, fantastic. Again, you want to see them in your opening hand to try and synchro into level 6. One of the new one, Physics. Physics is really good. So he does kind of absorb a lot of your fish resources, but the way he does it is a bit more unique. But the main thing is he adds any fish from your deck to your hand, so you can add Colocant, and if your opponent doesn't interrupt your turn or has no interruptions, you can basically set up a really big water board for the opponent's turn. You can get your Drag Eye out, you can get like a Chen Ying out if you need be. But generally speaking, you can kind of just swarm the board with loads of fish and set yourself up. He is generally like really good, but he's only a one-off. He's quite searchable. Arian Boss can just banish him from deck, and then you've got access to him. So I don't see more than one is any use. And then I run one Keith. Keith's not a tuner, he's not as important as the other level 2s. Overall, I find a lot of times I swarm the board with too many monsters. Keith's really nice as a one-off. He is a good disruptor. He's pretty searchable as well. But overall, like, recycling him over and over again will just happen unless your opponent gets rid of him somehow, or you don't summon him back yourself, or the negate his effect come back from banished. But he's generally a really nice one-off in my opinion. If I banish those two from Desires, I'm not too gutted about it. It happens. Like, if I ran like 2 Zep or 2 of each of the tuners and I use Desires and banish them, I'd probably be a bit more devastated. And then on to... So that's the actual Ghoti monsters themselves that I use ratio-wise. And then just support stuff for waters like the Ice Jade, really helpful. Chen Ying and the Ice Jade Synchro are really nice in this deck. Chen Ying especially, you're banishing a lot of stuff. You're going to trigger him really easy at any point you want. Generally, she's just really good. A lot of people will negate her when they see her, or she'll just take up interrupts. But being able to just ditch one from your hand, summon her, and go into a level 10 synchro is really nice. A lot of times you can ditch your Shiv or something, or one of your tuners, and then banish them from the grave. Then I run 2 Leaf Fish. You don't need 3. It's just kind of nice 2 off. Sometimes it's useful to see it. It's usually a Butiniful target. If you've already got access to your tuners or something like that. But otherwise, it just kind of helps you get some resources. The recycling effect's quite nice as well, but you don't use that as much. That recycling effect's more useful in like sharks, because you run out of resources really quick in shark decks. But in this, you're probably more likely just going to banish it with one of your effects. You go through a lot of fish resources with the Ghoti stuff, but he's still really nice to have and he's still useful, so I wouldn't say not to run him. And then triple white Stingray. This card's really nice. Ditches a card from your hand and summons it. Pretty sure it doesn't activate to do this, just a summon, like an inherit summon. I believe so, yeah. If it's someone from grave, it counts itself as a tuner. That doesn't really come up. But no, it's generally like really nice. Again, level 4 non-tuner. Normal summon a Pacey's, ditch summon this from hand, synchro into a 6. That's kind of just like what you want to do. So it's a really nice extender. It's level 4, so it's searchable as well with Abyss Shark. Abyss Shark's fantastic. One of the best fish cards in the game. Just does like everything you want it to. Yeah, it's kind of on your board a lot of time, dead after you do use its effect. But sometimes you'll overlay it into a Stealth Kraken, because Kraken is a very good card. And then 2 Silent Angler. Only 2 of this because it locks the effect of someone from hand out. So I can run triple Stingray because if I open 2 of them, I can use both their effects, technically speaking. But if I open 2 Angler, I can only summon one from my hand with their effect. So it's not as good, but it's still a nice level 4 extender. So it does sometimes come up. Just hard opening that with like a tuner might help. And then triple Butiniful Princess. In my eyes, this is another level 2 tuner. Or if you've already got access, and then you go into like your Leaf Fish and dump some more fish stuff into the grave, just to get that extra like fish fodder. But otherwise, she's really nice. She banishes us cost, which is really cool. And then she can trigger like Exeep. This dude, he'll summon after she resolves. So technically speaking, if you open him and her, you can normal her, banish her, summon a level 2 tuner, trigger Exeep, and Exeep then summons from your hand. And then you've got access to a level 6, which is just really nice. So she's really helpful. And then 1 Colocanth. So currently I'm kind of experimenting with everything. I've kind of liked it having the resources. A lot of times if you draw fish, you don't really need at that moment in time. You could just banish them. But Colocanth's quite an interesting one. If you do manage to get him out of your hand and you do use his effect, like it really puts you in a heavy advantage state. You get all your fish you want. You kind of just swarm the board. But you don't really want to hard draw him. Like, opening him's cool. You can Abyss Keeper. but sometimes I find it just takes up a space in your hand. I find it much better to search him with the level 6, because then at least then I know that I want it and I can get access to it and I've got everything set up for it. But other than that, it's still a fantastic card. It can still get you in a really advantage state or just win you the game. So I've enjoyed using one of this. It's really good. Then onto spells are on triple distant depths. You just want to see it really. It's really good. The only problem is it's not a Ghoti card, so it's not searchable in any way. It would have been cool they had a card that searched for it, because then you could just run one because it recycles itself. But maximizing on it's really good. It's a generally really good card. Banishing a fish to search fish. You can banish, add Exeep, trigger Exeep from your hand to summon, banish a tuna, add another tuna, add a Snowpierce. It's generally just a really helpful card, and it's quite hard to get off the board. Like, while you got a fish synchro, it's can't be destroyed or banished by card effects, so it's always pretty much okay. But it would be nice if you could search it. It could be like a one of, because I dislike opening multiple of it. And then triple desires. Desire is just really nice for consistency. It's very rare you banish stuff that you really care about. I maximized a lot of the numbers, and it being a bigger deck as well. Desires is just a really nice card for this deck. And then I run triple white veil. White mirror, sorry, not white veil. White mirror is really nice. It's another extender card, so when you have your tuna, you could ditch your stingray, summon, sink into a 6. Then you could white mirror the tuna back, add another one of the tunas, and then sink into like a drag out, and then get your Aryan Poss as well. Generally, just a really nice extender. I don't think I ever disliked this at 3. Sometimes I think maybe a 2, but it's very rare I dead draw it. It doesn't ever really happen, so I've enjoyed that at 3. 1 gold sock, just because it gets you access to like the one that searches, gets you access to any of your Ghoti pretty much. So it's just a search card in my eyes. And then 1 fury. This is recyclable with Exeep. I was considering dropping it because of the trap, and I sometimes consider it a bit slow. But it's generally like really good. I've got a cold at the moment, in case you can hear me like bunged up. But the 1 fury is really nice. It does kind of come up. It's a little bit of extra disruption, but I might consider cutting it. And then onto the extra deck. So for links, we run 1 Abyss Keeper. It's the only one I run. I think I was trying to fit in a Zealantis, but I couldn't figure out what to take out for it. So currently it's just the 1 Abyss Keeper. Super helpful, gets a Colocanth out of hand, banishes stuff, good card overall. Just a 1 of though. And if XYZ, I run 1 Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller is just a good card, honestly. Gets buffed as well if it has a water material. And, grave effects are good effects most of the time. So usually it's pretty good. Stealth Krang is surprisingly really good. Like, making everything water does affect a lot of decks. There's a lot of decks that are just fire based. Everything has to be fire on your board. Or decks that require you to have earth monsters. Like, playing against Vernasil, for example, or Medolce, or anything that uses a Vernasil package. They use a Vernasil effect and they're not thinking about the Stealth Krang, and any monster they then normal summon can never use its effect that turn, because it's not an earth, it's a water. And if you're going into fire deck and they need to use fire materials for something, they can't because Stealth Kragen's there. And the pop and the burn is also nice. You can burn in time. Overall, he's just a fantastic card, Kragen. I'm a really big fan of him. It's one of my favorite things about playing like Shark, because you can get him and Toads out. White Aura Porpoise, just like a utility card, a bit of recycling. It comes up in the middle of the game. It doesn't really come up that often though, but it's like a nice little recycler, so it is a good card though. So I definitely would still keep it as a 1 of. 2 Aryan Poss. I was using this as a 3 of. I cut it down to 2 of for space. Currently I am liking it as a 2 of. I always go through them. And you can kind of recycle them a little bit, but not that much. Leaf Fish Recycle on your Synchros is probably one of the better things. But yeah, this is your best one, honestly. He's like your searcher, sets you all up. Really good card. 2 Ascan. He's your banish guy. He's like, he interrupts a little bit. He summons himself back. He's generally just a really good card. He can help you get game really easy because of the fact he comes back. 1 whale. I wouldn't run more than 1, honestly. It doesn't really come up that much. So I run 3 level 6s and 3 level 8s. Oh, 4 level 8s, sorry. And then I run 5 level 10s for my synchros. But the 1 whale, it's really nice. A lot of stuff does like trigger when they're destroyed though, which is a bit grim. 1 drag eye, nice to end on your first turn. There's a good chance you can end with the drag eye. Just generally speaking, really good card. So it's a water as well. Spell trap negate. Negating them imperms and stuff is pretty nice. 2 the big boy. So I run 2 because you do generally go through 2 if it's a long grind game, which this deck's very good at grinding. So you go through 1 pretty easy. Most of the time your first one will get outed or stopped. That's just normal. The second one is usually one that I'll actually proc off and come back and be on like 5k attack or something like that. So 2 of them, and then I run 1 Ice Jade. Of course, I can summon her. 1 Baron. So Baron's a wind. It's very unlikely I do get her out, but sometimes I do manage to get the Baron out. In like, let's say I go first, I set my whole stuff up. Opponent's turn, I interrupt. They don't do much. They just clear some of my board. My turn, if I've got access to Ascan, the lower 8 one, and at any level 2 tuner, I can instantly just go straight into the Baron, and that'll just protect my entire turn. So the Baron's just really good. Like, not to use it would be crazy. And then the 1 Chen Ying, again, a nice J target. And generally speaking, Chen Ying is just a really good boss monster in this deck. But yeah, that was Ghoti. Really cool deck, really fun. It's a bit chunkier, this deck, but I quite like Ghoti being a bigger deck just because you go through so much resources and you banish so many fish. I'm currently just focusing playing on like water decks at the moment and just playing the same decks. So I'll probably just edit those ones around and do updated versions of them. I have Shark that I'm working on, so I'll probably do a Shark profile, and then I'll just update on Ghoti, Shark, Plunder, Sarctic, because they're decks I'm still gonna like always play. I've never been like a big water fan or anything. It's just coincidence that I'm a really big Ghoti fan, and I had the other decks which are water archetype, so it just made sense to me to keep to those 4 decks. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Bye.